Now, a subject that has been in the headlines a lot lately, the rise in dog attacks. And last month, the government announced adding the American Bully XL to the UK's list of banned breeds. We're now joined by Trevor Cooper, a lawyer who specialises in dog law, and also by Dr. Kendall Shepherd, a vet and animal behaviourist. Kendall, good morning. I'm going to come to you shortly. But Trevor, if I can start with yourself, what does this new announcement actually mean?
Well, the Prime Minister announced that with effect from the end of the year, then the American XL Bully will be added to the list of banned breeds. But we're waiting to get a definition. It's likely that the ban will be on the dog of the type known as the XL Bully, in which case it's not going to be about DNA, it's no genetic test. It'll be about what the dog looks like.
OK, so in practice, what would that likely mean for owners of this type of dog?
Well, not every XL Bully is dangerous and not every XL Bully owner is irresponsible. So these good owners are going to be given the opportunity to have their dogs exempted from the bans. They'll be given a date by which the dog will have to go onto the index of exempted dogs, and they'll have very stringent conditions to comply with.
Exactly how will the ban work then, Trevor, and who's going to be enforcing it?
Well, it's likely to be the police who will be the primary enforcers. So if they are aware of a dog that falls within that definition, which hasn't been exempted from the ban, then the dog is liable to be seized and the owners may be prosecuted. And if convicted, there's a maximum penalty of 6 months imprisonment, unlimited fine, and a presumption that the dog shall be put down.
OK, and just to bring Kendall in here. Kendall, last year there were a reported 22,000 cases of out-of-control dogs causing injuries. I mean, just listening to the figures there, surely some of the responsibility's got to lie with the owners of the dogs themselves.
Well, it does, but those figures also show how absolutely ineffective the Dangerous Dogs Act has been in preventing dog bites as a whole. The current ban is concentrating on one particular breed. We know that banning breeds doesn't work. That has been a problem right from the start. My experience is with assessing pit bull types, which the predominant breed to which this legislation has applied. Under Section 1, the job is I have to assess the dog's anatomy, and the presumption is that if a policeman says that the dog is of the type and it looks like it, then that dog is. That is the presumption of guilt until proved innocent. Under Section 3, which is just regarding dogs which have bitten, this can apply to all kinds of dogs. But of course, again, it's the big dogs that tend to hit the media. But we know that the little dogs, cockapoos, French bulldogs, are out there, they're biting people with probably more frequency than the big dogs, but they cause less damage.
You mentioned the Dangerous Dogs Act there. Now, the government are saying the Dangerous Dogs Act, including the new proposed ban on the American XL Bully, is a vital first step in protecting the public and is on top of the work the government has been doing to encourage responsible dog ownership.
Kendall, you mentioned that a lot of dogs can bite. If anyone's watching this and are concerned about their safety around any dogs whatsoever, what advice would you give them if they are faced with what they think is an aggressive dog?
Well, if they own a dog that they think might behave in a dangerous way, then of course many of the features of these incidents can have strict exact analogies with the dog act, the traffic accidents we were talking about before. People do not take sensible precautions. They walk their dogs on their mobile phone at the same time. So the responsibility of the owner is to keep their dog safe. But if people often don't realize that just because they are afraid of the dog looks dangerous to them, then it doesn't mean that dog wants to bite them. And often what people do as a response to being frightened is they run, they scream, they kick out, they wave their arms, and above all, they tend to stare, they tend to look at the dog, and this alarms dogs more than anything else. So what people must be aware of is how their own behavior can inadvertently make a dog also feel very alarmed, and it can worsen an incident that might not have happened at all had they not behaved in that way.
And Trevor, just to bring you back in here, what do you think the longer-term solution for all of this is? How do we ensure that it's the responsible owners that are taking care of dogs?
Well, I think it's unlikely that this measure is going to protect the public. I'd much rather we looked at the breeders. Let's crack down on backstreet breeders. And perhaps it's too easy to get a dog nowadays. So there's a conversation to be had there.
One thing that's quite interesting about this area of law, Trevor, is it's almost the reverse of what we're used to seeing, isn't it, when you're innocent until proven guilty?
Yeah, there is that reversal of the burden of proof. So once the police say the dog is illegal, that's what it is. So the dog is guilty unless you can prove that it's innocent.
And Kendall, finally, for anybody that might be watching this morning that's actually thinking of getting a dog, what advice would you give them to ensure that they are responsible?
Yes, but before that, I would like to just go on from what Trevor said. We must place more emphasis on investigating dog bite incidents. If we don't actually find out why dogs bite, we cannot educate people. So that is one way the law must be changed. In terms of the kind of dog that people should get, the responsibility they have, if people are buying a pure breed, they must go to a responsible breeder who will have ensured that the dog is already partly socialized. They must choose a dog that is suitable for their lifestyle, that they aren't just swayed by looks, they are swayed by the exact kind of dog that they need in their life. There are plenty of rescue dogs. The rescue in the UK is overflowing with dogs needing homes. But the problem is, of course, that the Dangerous Dogs Act has created so many bull breed types that now are being discarded, that these are the very dogs that I find very difficult to rehome. But above all, the responsibility of an owner must be to actually tell other people how to behave responsibly around their dog.
Yeah,
because
really good advice there,
it takes
Kendall.
two to tango.
Thank you so much. And this is a subject that we'll definitely come back to later on in the series, isn't it?
Absolutely. Thank you both. Now it's time for